Welcome to the Game Changers Podcast, your connection to the world's most powerful influencers in leadership, personal development, and entrepreneurship. Here's your host, professional athlete, author, speaker, and game changer himself, Rennie Curran. It's time to get your head in the game.
What's going on, world? It's your boy, Rennie Curran. Thank you so much for joining me on the Game Changer Podcast. I wanted to just spend a few moments talking about entrepreneurship because that's something that I believe is so important in the time that we're in, and it's becoming more and more of a bigger trend. As you look at society, you look at how different things are moving, especially with technology, especially with the advancement of computers, with artificial intelligence. Entrepreneurship is just so important, and it's something that's been important to me in my life. Going from being a professional athlete to now where I am as a speaker, as an author, as a life and business coach, being my own business owner. This has been something where if I didn't understand principles of entrepreneurship, if I didn't take it seriously, there's no telling where I'd be right now. I knew always that I couldn't just be an athlete. I couldn't just be a jock. And so after I got cut for the first time, that's when I kind of took my dive into becoming an entrepreneur. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I was back home at my parents' house after being cut by the Tennessee Titans. And so I just, after like 8-9 weeks, I thought to myself, like, man, I can't just sit here and just work out all day and wait for a call. I can't wait for somebody to give me an opportunity. And that's when I decided to take that leap into becoming my own business, essentially. And I was before as an athlete, but now even more so is about me coming up with an idea, with the vision, with the product, and putting that together, believing in it, putting it together as far as forming a team, getting marketing materials, the sales pieces, all those systems in place, and then trying to get somebody to pull out their wallet and purchase that product. And so my first product happened to be my book, Free Agent. And I put that together 2011, started writing it. 2013 is when I released it. And it was one thing I tell people all the time when they're talking about writing books and doing different things, it's one thing to put that book together, but it's a whole nother deal when you talk about marketing that book and trying to get the PR behind it and trying to build that buzz. And these are all things that, just like being an athlete, when you see the finished product, everything looks glamorous, everything looks nice, but the work that goes behind it, man, it's something serious. And I just want to share a couple quick tips for you. If you are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, or if you are already an entrepreneur, these are some of the things that I really believe will help you take your game to the next level. The first one is that you have to be comfortable with uncertainty. And this is something I see with so many people who want to become entrepreneurs, but who are afraid or who are fearful. It's because a lot of times they are so comfortable with certainty. They want that guaranteed paycheck. They want to see that the direct return on their efforts. And as an entrepreneur, you have to understand that that's one thing you're not going to see always is when you make 1 million phone calls to try to get somebody to buy your product or take on your service. You're not always going to see that direct return. And, you have to be okay with that. You have to have a lot of faith and believe in a lot of times when you can't see it, when you look around and you've done all this work, you've made the flyers, you've put forth the effort to build a website, you've had 1 million meetings, and maybe you get 2 responses or 3 responses. You still have to sit back and go back home that night and look at yourself in the mirror and believe that what you're doing is worth it. And the mission that you have, the vision that you have is one that is worthy, that is one that is worth sacrificing for. If not, I'm telling you, you will be left by the wayside. You won't last very long as an entrepreneur. The next tip is to this one really goes towards the organization piece of being an entrepreneur. So my saying is think like an entrepreneur, operate like a corporate. Think like an entrepreneur, operate like a corporate. And what I mean by that is when it comes to your organizational skills, that's one thing that's going to set you apart as an entrepreneur, is if your business documentation is in place as far as your taxes and your accounts and all of your the way that you set up your business, from your LLC to your spending and your budgeting, and the understanding your profit margins, even so the cost of your products and how much you're paying for it. and then what you're actually selling them for. And if that price that you're selling them for is something that is attractive in the market, because let's say if I came out with a book and let's say it cost me $10 to make, and for me to make a profit that can sustain me, I had to sell it for $30 when nobody's buying books for $30. So just being mindful of all those little intricacies of being a business owner and having a product that somebody's going to actually want to buy. So, and then that always goes back to efficiency as well. So making sure that your business, the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis is efficient, is actually leading to something. Because so many times I see many entrepreneurs who they go on this meeting, they're at this event, they're running themselves crazy, and what they're doing is not really leading to anything. Even their use of social media, it's you can post a million things about your business, a million motivational posts, but if it's not leading to a return or leading to sales, then eventually you're going to get burnt out. And so think like an entrepreneur, operate like a corporate. Think about how corporates operate day to day. Think about the teams that they build. Think about the systems that they put in place to make sure that they cover themselves as far as liability. So many things. And the next and the last tip is to never get comfortable. Never get comfortable at all. And that's one thing that I've seen get a lot of entrepreneurs. It's not necessarily the challenges that come with being an entrepreneur. Sometimes it's a success. They're making a lot of money, but they're also spending a lot of money. They're going on trips. They're trying to live that life. They're not living within their means, not disciplined. That can get you just as much as the challenges and the adversities can, as far as being an entrepreneur. So you really, really have to be disciplined, because a lot of times when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, like, you're going to be by yourself. You don't have that major support system. I mean, in some cases you may, in terms of your family and your close friends, but overall, it's like when you start off, it's you and your vision. Those are the people who I'm talking about or talking to right now, is those people who are just starting out, who have this belief in what they want to do, have a small business, and they're trying to get it up off the ground. So I would tell you is one thing I'll tell you is, once you start building that momentum, remember to keep doing the same things that got you those results that you wanted. Remember to keep that same effort, keep that same hunger, keep that same drive, even after you start getting those paychecks rolling in. And that's a place that I'm at right now. Like, I've been speaking now professionally for about 3 years, along with my book, and just recently started doing the life and business coaching. But things are going really, really well. And so I have to really, really double down as far as my discipline, as far as remembering those times where I didn't have people saying yes all the time, and didn't have people picking up the phone call and answering my emails. I have to remember that and let that keep me, keep me motivated and keep me disciplined. So now I want to just introduce my next guest onto the show. Had the opportunity to interview with him, and he's somebody who just recently released his first book. I'm so proud of him, because we actually talked about the idea of him coming out with a book. He's a barber, which you'll find out later on. But I was sitting down in his seat. He was giving me a fresh cut, and I was like, man, you need to brand yourself. You need to, take what you're doing and expand on it. And he, unlike many people who I talked to, he actually took the advice and he ran with it. And now he's just recently released his first book. And I say that to say as well, I offer a lot of people, great advice on business strategy, on ideation, on marketing, on PR. And so if you're listening right now, and if I can ever help you in any way, whether that's connecting you with somebody, or whether that's, giving you a piece of advice on your book, or if you want to get into speaking, whatever it is, feel free to reach out to me. Don't hesitate. My website is renniecurran.com. You can also reach out to me through Instagram if you DM, on Facebook, whatever it is. I'd love to be able to help you. I'd love to hear more about your business ideas and how I can help you through my network, whether that's establishing your brand or helping you come up with your target audience, because that's one of the toughest things, is knowing, really finding your niche. And so with that being said, I'd love to just get into this interview. I hope it empowers you, inspires you, and I hope it leads you, further down that path of taking your game to the next level in entrepreneurship.
Yisrael Wright, men's grooming specialist, author, and full-time entrepreneur. Thank you, Rennie, for having me on the Game Changer podcast.
It means a lot, and to me, it says more about you, the fact that you took that information and you actually took action, because so many people
know how that goes.
We talked about it before, but man, so many people take that information and go in one ear out the other, like, oh, one day,
right,
sounds good. That's awesome, man. I think I might do that, and because I have this conversation a lot with people, and some people it resonates with them, others it doesn't, and so you really took that initiative, which is huge, and so I wanted to just start off the interview, the podcast interview, by just learning more about your story, how you came up and kind of your journey through entrepreneurship and getting into barbering and what's led you to where you are today.
Okay. Well, I guess just to start from like the beginning, like my mom, aunt, cousin have all been in the hair and nail, just beauty industry, period, for forever. So I was a shop kid, meaning like I was raised in a barber shop or in a hair salon. So I was always around it, but sports, for most of us, especially like in the Gwinnett area, like that was it. That was just king. So basketball was my main focus from middle school to, even going to college and playing. And I kind of was just, one of those kind of get through life just because I was good at sports type of person. So, there's a lot of advantages, but at the same time it was disadvantages because I was kind of disconnected from like the business world. Mm-hmm. I was more so concerned on like sports, and I guess the only business that I was concerned was the NBA. Like that was just it. But once I realized like I'm not going to the league, it really, hit home. I went to school, got free education through going to school and playing, got a scholarship. But then, I started taking business and marketing classes. Mm-hmm. And that kind of really opened up my eyes. Like, man, I like business. Like, I really enjoy it. I like different facets of it, and the different layers of the marketing and advertising and promoting and all that stuff. Like, it really just caught my attention. So, getting out of college and getting into the quote-unquote real world, I had to figure out what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I guess the first story that I'll tell, from the book, first personal experience, is me getting my first real job. Still, actually, I was in college, about to graduate. Yeah. And I was a retail wireless consultant. More or less, I sold phones. Yeah. But that it was a lot of different things that clicked. Like even from that title, right now, me being a barber, I can just say I'm a barber, but instead I use the term men's grooming specialist, and it just makes, the perception of the job look different. Definitely. But I also validated that by doing more and bringing more to the table than just the typical barber. Right. But, I told that story, and it just really, I broke down how it started to click that I was my own business. I was my own brand, and, I had clients through the relationships that I had already built just through my life. People that, if I was going to sell peanuts, they would buy them from me because I was who I was. So, that's pretty much where the book kind of is telling my backstory, but that's really my backstory on how I got into entrepreneurship. Yeah. And I got into barbering, went to barber school in 2012, moved from Illinois to Atlanta. Let me tell that story. Went from Illinois to Atlanta. My mom lived out here. Moved in with her, kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. Decided to go to barber school. From barber school, I got into 2 different shops, moved out to Snellville, and then that's at A1 Cuts is when I really started to develop and turn into a business, a brand, and just started looking at what I was doing different. And then that's when I really started playing on experiences, relationships, just growing my business and growing my brand, and just trying to go to that next level at all times. Just, keep pushing. So, that's kind of the short story of where I came from to where I am now. But I think it's just deep rooted in me, and my family just being entrepreneurs and really go getters. And now it's just my turn, so I just get to do it my way. Man. Yeah.
Well, with you being a full-time entrepreneur, and thank you for sharing your story, man. It's a powerful story. With you being a full-time entrepreneur, what was that kind of game-changing moment where that light bulb just kind of clicked on? Was it somebody you met or a specific moment where it just came? Or
man, I mean, in my mind, it was so many different things, but it was it was very funny. It was a person that told me I was lazy. Dang. Told me I was lazy. I never heard that in my life. I was always, one of the hardest workers. I wasn't the best. However, I worked harder than anybody. Any coach or any teacher, any person that's around me, he works his tail off with whatever he does.
Yeah.
And for him to say, you know, oh, you're lazy, like that just was like, me? Like, you can't be talking about me. But it was because, and this is something that we face as entrepreneurs, like people will want you to do what they want you to do because it's the comfortable thing. And because you don't want to do it, then, you know, they'll be like, oh, well, you know, maybe you just, you know, you don't have a work ethic or you don't have this. And it's just like, no, I just don't want to do what you want me to do. That's it.
Yeah.
So that kind of like really sparked something in me. And after that, I just never turned back.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's a big piece of, you know, becoming an entrepreneur and developing as an entrepreneur is knowing your passion, knowing what really motivates you. Because like you said, it's like we all go through those phases in life where we're doing these things, whether it's a job, we take on a job, or we take on a major, whatever it is, that just sounds good.
Yeah,
at
the time,
you know, just because we're trying to figure things out. And a lot of times we can lose that motivation. And it's not that we don't have the work ethic, like you said, but it's the fact that it doesn't fire itself.
Yeah.
So that's a big piece of, I feel like, being an entrepreneur is knowing those things that make you, when you wake up in the morning, you just got that drive and that dog in you, ready to go get it.
Yeah.
Another question that popped up in my head as you were talking just about your journey and where you are now is what have you learned so far about leadership just from being in your position?
Man, people are always watching. Like that off top. Like people are always watching. That's why I'm so intentional about what I do with social media, what I do when I'm in public, when I do with my brand. People are always watching, and you'd be surprised just having conversations, especially me, because as a barber we get a chance to talk to people. So you get to hear how people view your business, how people view you as a person. It's just I didn't even know you was paying attention to that.
Right, yeah.
And it's really dope, but it keeps you on your toes. It also just puts you in a position where you just understand, you can't stop.
For sure.
You can't stop. You got to keep pushing because you're inspiring somebody to literally follow their dreams just because you're following yours. So
heck yeah.
That's one thing I would definitely take away is people are always watching and just, be intentional about the stuff that you do, say, the people you come in contact with, because it all matters.
Nah, you're right.
We're not doing nothing for nothing. Everything matters. So
definitely, man. Yeah. That's great. And you really touched on it, just the influence that you had that you sometimes don't even realize that you have. And it's just by virtue of you chasing your dreams. And that's one of the most powerful things I think about as an entrepreneur, especially when you're taking a different route. It could be in the same industry, but just by the way that you do it from your perception and from your experience, how you can, influence a whole new wave.
Yeah, exactly.
It's powerful to think about. And I mean, I'm sure there's some kid watching you now who's, thinking about getting into barber school or they're trying to figure out their life. And they're like, man, he's dope. He's doing it this way.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
It's
dope, though. It is dope.
When you think about it that way, it's like we had the chance to really change trajectories, just by somebody watching us. I think it's just really powerful. And it's something that you won't know until 5 years later.
Exactly.
Right? Some kid, it's like, man, I used to watch that.
Yep. That's true, man. That's crazy. But yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Just think about it.
It really, really is, man. And with that being said, the next question I have for you is with the theme of the podcast. It's called Game Changer. And, I want to know from your perspective, what is a game changer? What does being a game changer mean to you?
Being a game changer, actually in that the interviews that we did with the first group of people, Marcus Harvey, he made a great. He's a men's grooming specialist as well. He's a comedian. He has a TV show. And he's one of my mentors. He said something about trailblazing. And he was saying that people want to be trailblazers, but they aren't willing to go where it's dark and ugly and nasty and get cut on your body and climb under stuff that nobody wants to do. I think that's what a game changer is to me. Somebody that's willing to do whatever. Go to sleep, not go to sleep, wake up early, be hungry, be tired, be broke, whatever.
For sure.
I think that is strong characteristic or like a non-negotiable of a game changer. You have to.
Yeah.
You gotta be willing to do that. Because if not, like, you just gotta be regular. Like,
you're right, man.
You gotta do the stuff that nobody else wants to do.
Yeah, so. Yeah. That's a great response, man. To me, that sounds like perseverance. That sounds like persistence. Yes. That sounds like resilience.
Yes.
So many things that, like you said, can make what you're doing bigger than just, you are just bigger than your dream. Mm-hmm. And make you create those new trailblaze and create those new routes and new perspectives.
Yep.
So that's powerful stuff. And another deep question that I have for you is, what do you want kind of the world or your industry to know about you when it's all said and done, or about your business? Like, what do you want your brand to represent?
Man.
The D, right?
There it is.
Yeah.
I think people need to just know that I'm more about like the impact.
Yeah.
Like just making an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Being impactful or being like influential in people's lives, like that, to me, now I look at it as something more. Like,
yeah, man.
Before I didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
But to hear those conversations on how people view you and like the importance that they feel, or every morning I wake up and I watch your videos and I'm just like, you watch my videos every morning? Like, that's somebody's life. They could be doing anything.
Seriously.
They could literally be doing anything, but they choose to literally watch my Insta stories and my videos, and they, learn from the stuff that I'm saying. And, it's just like that intentional lifestyle. Literally, you can't do everything, but just try to be intentional about things, because it matters, man. I didn't understand how much it really matters, but I want to just leave an impact. I want to leave an impact. I want people to know that I'm making an effort to leave an impact. Yeah. Like, not just doing this to be doing it. Like, I want to be a part of this one life that we get. Like, I want to be a part of this world, like, in an important way.
No, so, you're right.
That's what I want them to know.
That's powerful, man, because it's like, there's so many people out here that's successful. Mm-hmm. I always talk about success and how significance is greater than success. Yeah. And there's a lot of people out here who, they got everything. They got the money, the bank account's right, the car's nice and all that, but when they leave, it's like they were never there. Yeah. Whether that's for your professional athletes who played 10 years in the league, and some of your politicians, whoever, it's like they were in their moment, but they never take advantage. What you really did was not significant. You was just another one in line. Just come on,
they got paid for it.
Yeah, they just made some money, and nobody even knew you were there when you're done. So, that's something that is really, I feel like, really drives me in everything that I do. It's like, how can I be more significant? How can I, impact people? And it sounds like you're right along the same lines, man. So, I want to commend you for that, because it really takes a lot. I feel like a lot of self-awareness to get to that point. It's a lot of maturity, man, because a lot of people aren't there. And, even older people who you expect.
The age obviously doesn't really mean anything when it comes to understanding life a little bit more. Like, you might see it more often, but that doesn't mean you understand it better.
Exactly.
And it's sad, but it's very true. So I'm trying to learn from other people's mistakes.
Heck yeah.
Especially that are older than me. Like, I definitely listen to everybody, but I'd rather watch, because I'm going to watch what you do. Like, you say one thing, but then you do something else. So I'm going to learn a lesson one way or another.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, you're 100% right. Being significant.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's important, man.
Heck yeah, man. Well, with that being said, man, how can our listeners get in touch with you and keep up with your journey and
definitely
support you and everything?
So, right now you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, all that, exclusive, YIZCLUSIVE, and the same thing, exclusive.com. Right now I do have the book, Entreprenuer, What I Wish They Would Have Told Me, rolling out October 1st, but pre-orders are available. Right now, 1/3 of all proceeds for the entire month of September will be going towards the Houston relief, which is really big. Hurricane Harvey definitely took out a lot of people, a lot of land, a lot of stuff. People are down bad right now. They need our help. So anything that I can do to help, I'm going to do that. So 1/3 of proceeds for September will go towards that relief. I feel like it's extremely important in entrepreneurship, especially to help others. Like, you have to help for them to help you, and not looking to get anything in return, but you gotta help. Like, you just gotta understand that it's hard to do it by yourself. It's hard, so you gotta have help. But yeah, that's where you can reach me. Anybody that wants to donate or wants to contribute, definitely reach out to me on Instagram, email. My phone number is available. But yeah, that's me. So
awesome, man.
Thank you, bro. I
appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you so very much.
For everyone watching on YouTube and listening via podcast, I want to thank you all so much for joining me on the Game Changers podcast. We're going to continue to keep this rolling and doing this weekly. But it's a powerful interview, as you all heard from Israel. He's doing some amazing things and really just making an impact. Not just trying to be successful in his endeavor, but trying to be significant as well in everything that he does. And I think that's a powerful takeaway for today, just from entrepreneurship as a whole. So we talked a lot about that today. And so, yeah, looking forward to next week. Thank you.
All right.